start the recording. There we go. We're starting the recording. I'm going to put on my that one. This is Rabbi Brian's weekly gathering, weekly religious service. Hi, I'm Rabbi Brian. You can see here it says live from Las Vegas. I am in Las Vegas, Nevada, and I don't know where you are, but you are in lots of places, and I'm going to show all my friends who are on screens here. Whoops. There it is. There are people. Everyone wave, say hello. Glad to see all of you. I will turn off this screen and just come back to here where I see all of you. Can you all hear me? Can I get some audio from more of you so I get like wonderful. Well, I looked it up, and as it is my custom to do whenever I'm traveling, is to look at whose land am I currently on, and Las Vegas, Nevada, the city of Las Vegas, and all of this. I don't even know what adjective to use to describe this place, is on the traditional land of the Nuwuwu people, unceded land of the Nuwuwu people. And I ask you to, if you don't know where it is you are seated right now, on whose land you are seated, take a look, learn a little bit about whose land you're on. I think that's an important thing for us to do. I'm going to start this morning by looking back at a few things from last week, and then we're going to move on to some new material. If you've not been to this service before, welcome. If you're watching via Zoom or on FaceTime, if you're watching on Facebook or on YouTube, you can join live on the Zoom. If you go to rotb.org, you can find out how. But I wanted to wave to everyone who's watching from afar and say hello to anyone who's listening at a later time. Three things to review. One, superheroes, we decided last week, we touched on this a little bit. Superheroes help others without resentment. We couldn't think of any superhero who, after they helped someone, said, I can't believe you got into that mess. And I think one of the morals we had from last week could have been that maybe we could all be superheroes too, if we can learn to help others without that resentful sigh at the end. Second thing to review on, we talked a little bit last week about boundaries and how hard it is to set a boundary. And we had the example from a few weeks ago when Joe set a boundary with me. And in that case, it was hard to do, and all the more so in other cases. And how in setting a boundary, it's scary for us to do. And we often think the person with whom we are setting a boundary, we don't play it out well enough. So I'm going to just dive into that for half of a moment. That the person we set a boundary with often feels like we are denying them something and will respond with a bit of anger, and it's or will test the boundary, and it's incumbent on us, or it's important for us to know when we set a boundary. It's helpful to know what to expect. When you go to a doctor and the doctor tells you the side effects may include, or this is what you might be experiencing, it's always nice to know what experience you're about to have. So just to remember when we set a boundary, to know that the other person's probably not going to say, oh, really good job on you for setting a boundary. I'm so proud of you. That's probably just not going to happen, and so we should keep that in mind. That was thing number 2 to third thing to review. Is that there's a difference between a request and a demand. And this is from a few weeks back, that I got a little extra audio going on somewhere here. That's all right. We will find it. And I got some people in the waiting room. If you're new and you don't and you have some questions about how this service works, there are a bunch of people who have volunteered to be co-hosts. And if you have Roberta, my friend, I think you have a radio on in the background, and that we're picking up. So we've muted you for now. So if you have a question on how this service works, or hey, is it true that anyone like can you just jump in? The answer is yes. We're glad to have you here. This is a different type of service. It's a different kind of way of celebrating a Sabbath. And let me start with that. Is a bit of a Sabbath. How do you Sabbath? I heard somebody say, and it was on TikTok of all places. I heard someone say that if you, and they were quoting Abraham Joshua Heschel, that if you work with your hands, let your Sabbath be with your mind. And if you work with your mind, let your Sabbath be with your hands. And I ask everyone, what is a way that you can take a break from how you usually do things? What is a thing you can do? Sabbath doesn't, nobody Sabbaths for you. Sabbath is a thing you have to do. It's an internal thing. It's a state of mind. And so let me ask you, hi, people. Now I'm looking up at the screen. I can see all of you. Hi. Hi, Aaron, and hi, Linda and Charlene. It's good to see you, and glad you guys are all here. And I have a second page of people I haven't even said hello to yet. Oh, all these people who don't have their video on. Wonderful. Glad that you're here. Can I get a volunteer? What do you do to Sabbath? What do you do to separate out the week? Because we could just keep going and going and going and going and going, but we need to stop and take some pause. So the answer to the question, a Sabbath practice that I enjoy is dot dot dot. A Sabbath practice that I enjoy is dot dot dot. How would you fill in a Sabbath practice that I enjoy? What is a Sabbath practice that you enjoy doing? I'd love to hear 3 or 4 answers from people. And then let me tell you, we don't have an actual the number of shares that we ask people to make, but I will ask you to be mindful that if you normally you if you find that you're on your third time sharing, maybe take a break, pull it back for a moment. So let me ask you again, when the question, the prompt is, a Sabbath practice that I enjoy is dot dot dot. A Sabbath practice that I enjoy is dot dot dot. Anyone want to? Yeah, Bruce, a Sabbath practice that you enjoy is what? Playing in the dirt. Yeah, wonderful. Playing in the dirt. How many people enjoy playing in the dirt? Let me see a show of hands. We've got a bunch of people playing in the dirt. Something else you enjoy doing? Something that is part of your Sabbath practice that you wouldn't otherwise do? Something that works for you for a Sabbath might be? Yeah, Chad and Lisa, I see your hands are raised. What do you got? That is fantastic Sabbath practice. Sleeping in and binge watching television shows. What a great answer. I think actually binge watching television shows, that's in the Bible. It says that that's one of the things that is favorable to the Lord. It might be a different translation than you're used to. Other thoughts of something that, let's take one more, something you enjoy doing, a Sabbath practice? Or, I'd even take an answer of, here's something that I wish I were doing as a Sabbath practice. Something that I wish I were doing as a Sabbath practice. What? Thank you, Avon. Okay. Wait. Avon, you said Saturdays are off. Saturdays you don't have off. Yeah, yeah. For a long time, when I was working at the regular congregational life, and I had Friday night services that I was running and Saturday morning services with bar and bat mitzvahs I was running, I always thought it was ironic that here I am at my job telling people not to work where I am actually working. And so then I started doing Tuesdays. I made Tuesdays my Sabbath. And on Tuesdays at 4 o'clock, I stopped whatever I was doing and I drove out to a stained glass studio with my brother in law, Bob, and my buddy, Larry. And we had pizza and we worked on stained glass. And for me, that was a Sabbath. Yeah, go ahead, Jack. I see you have your hand up. Yeah. Yeah, and you're hitting a perfect idea here, Jack, is that a Sabbath is a state of mind. It's not necessarily what you're doing or not doing. And I think what you're suggesting is that a Sabbath is non-attachment, non-attachment to outcome. Yeah. Rags, you said open hands. You care to share a little bit more about that metaphor? Yeah. Yeah. By a show of hands on your screen, and I apologize if you're watching it, you can't see the screen of everybody. By a show of hands, how many of you think that letting go of outcome might be meritorious for you to do today? By a show of hands, how many of you think that letting go of outcome might actually be of some help today? And that's most people's hands. How do we do it? Practice? Do it? Yeah. I like the idea of practice as well. Is that this is not something that's really built into for a lot of us. For a lot of us, the idea of letting go, it's like playing the French horn when you've never played the French horn. It's really hard to even begin. How many of us have a heart like you should be letting go, but letting go is not the easiest thing to do, right? It's probably the same hand that we had before. Rags, you have your electronic hand raised. Was that in it? Oh, so some of you, I forgot about this feature. So Hugh and Rags, your hands are up. Hugh, do you have a comment to make, or was that Zoom thinking for you? Please. Mm, yeah. Thank you, Hugh. Thank you for putting that to words. If I were to give you a gift here, And the gift is 20 minutes. You get 20 minutes, and I'll give you the same gift I promise next week. Unless I. If I were to give you a gift of 20 minutes this week, and you can use it at any time you want, where would you put in the extra 20 minutes? Steve, you might have an answer to that. You might have something else you wanted to say. Go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead. Go. Oh, that's interesting. That's interesting. What do you mean by make a Sabbath? Yeah. Yeah. So if I give you this 20 minutes, and I'm going to give you this 20 minutes today, and I'm sorry to say this 20 minutes expires at midnight. It's just how it is. You have 20 minutes. And I'm going to give two different options on how you might use this. One, as Steve was just saying, take a time and say, at this time of day, I'm going to carve out and I'm going to have my 20 minutes of Sabbath. The other way of doing it is to keep that 20 minutes in your pocket, and as you need it, dole out an extra 15 seconds when something's going wrong. And dole out another minute here when you're waiting on. You can wait online, you're waiting online, you're waiting on hold, something's going on, and you can be impatient. But I'm saying take one of those 20 minutes out and apply it then. You have 20 minutes of credit with the universe for a little extra Sabbath. I have an idea. I don't know that. Can we come back next week and talk about how we spent our Sabbaths? Would you make a note? You don't have to, of course. Would you make a note of how did you spend your extra 20 minutes? And let's come back to that next week. Carol, go ahead. You're on mute, Carol, which is a little harder. Stop, look, go. Yeah. Stop, look, go. Hey, I have an idea. Let's try that right now. Anyone besides me notice that they inadvertently took a deeper breath? It just kind of snuck up on me. I didn't know what else to do. And so all of a sudden I was like, what else am I going to do when I'm stopping? I'm going to breathe. Stop, look, go. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. I have awards to give out. I promised I'd give them out, and here they are. The awards, the certificates. I have certificates to go to anyone who did something in the last week where they did something to purposefully avoid future regret. Did you do something in the last week that you did purposefully to avoid future regret? What did you do in the last week purposefully so that you could avoid future regret? Go for it, Maria. Beautiful. And there you go. You are the first recipient of, there's the little certificate for you. Take a screenshot. That one's yours. Someone else, what did you do in the last week so that you could purposely avoid regret? Joe, you got some? Congratulations, Joe. Not only did you avoid regret, but you get a certificate. Someone else, what did you do to purposefully avoid regret? I got emails in. I got one from Kitty who said that she picked up some garbage so she wouldn't regret having picked up that garbage. So that one counts. Something else I did to purposely avoid regret. Go ahead, Alex. Mhm. That's And Alex, for purposely avoiding regret, you too get a certificate. I wonder if anyone besides me, I'm picking up a theme that all of these things have in common that people have shared. And let's take maybe one more and then see if we can see a theme of things people did that they did purposefully to avoid regret. I get one more? Yeah, Avon. Mm, good, good. Wait, let me give you your certificate. There's your certificate. What do these all have in common? They're all doing the right thing. They're all when we acted as our highest selves. They all contain love. Yeah. Loving other people and self love. Thank you, Betsy. Absolutely. These are all our highest ideals being acted out. I think. Thank you. That sounded almost begrudgingly, but thank you. Yeah, you're right. I think that just came out a little bit funny, Jack. Thank you. It is true. And the moral of the story, do the right thing, which also is a fantastic movie I haven't seen in years, but it was a lovely, lovely movie. Um, Let me move on to our topic of today. Let me, let's take we're going to do prayers. Let's do prayers now because Maria? I'm looking for a Maria on my screen. There's Maria. Hi, Maria. Hi, Maria. Would you be so kind as to lead us through prayers? Thank you, Maria, for collecting and compiling that list. Let's take a minute of time. We'll do so here from 8:27 and 30 seconds for 1 minute's time. Well, thank you all for the minute of time. Um, by the way, that did not count against the 20 minutes that you. I was writing with my friend James, our friend James, who's in state prison, and I got a letter back from him. This one's dated May 27th. And we're talking about the love of learning and growing. And he got a third program approved by the captain to run. He's rerunning his group called Try, Truly Redefine Yourself, TRY, Truly Redefine Yourself. And that's going well. And he and I were writing, oh, here it is. And we were writing about unsolicited advice, and it takes a while for the correspondence because it's by mail. But here's what I wrote to him about unsolicited advice, and I like to read it to you, and then we'll take it one bit at a time. It says this: one thing about unsolicited advice, nobody needs it. I've been wondering why people give unsolicited advice. I think it comes from a place of wanting to help. Oh, let me pause before I continue reading and say, I talked about unsolicited advice in this service or in a newsletter, but I spoke about it in the last month, and I received an email from someone who said, Rabbi, despite my decades of living on this planet, I simply had never heard anyone previously say not to give unsolicited advice. Thank you. This is life. This is changing. This is a big revelation for me. And I thought, wow. I mean, what a thing to live to be decades old and not having known not to give unsolicited advice. But if you don't know, you don't know. So I believe it comes from a place of wanting to help. That goes poorly often. Oops. That unsolicited advice comes from wanting to help, but that goes poorly often. Oops. However, the person receiving the advice might not feel that they are getting what they need. Sometimes we complain, this is my favorite sentence. Sometimes we complain not to be fixed situationally, but to be heard compassionately. Let me say that again. Sometimes we complain not to be fixed situationally, but to be heard compassionately. Moreover, if the advice giver's suggestions are not taken, they often dismiss the pain of their misattuned friend as, well, I told them what to do to have fixed that. Let me say that again. If the unsolicited advice giver's suggestion aren't taken, the unsolicited advice giver will often dismiss the pain of their misattuned friend as, well, I told them what to do to have fixed that. You get what I'm saying here? Well, I told them what to do. We give unsolicited advice at times. We give unsolicited advice at times with great help. Hey, we've given unsolicited advice at times does great help. Hey, you've got a flat tire. That's unsolicited advice. Nobody's driving their car saying, hey, would you please tell me if I have a flat tire? But we give unsolicited advice. Sometimes it gives great help. Hey, you've got a flat tire. Or that shirt doesn't match your pants. Is that helpful? On the other hand, that shirt looks great with your pants is nice to hear. Both unsolicited advice. Hey, that shirt doesn't match your pants isn't, but that shirt looks great with your pants is. Both unsolicited, but very different. Unsolicited advice, let's start with the first idea. Unsolicited advice comes from wanting to help. Question is who? Go for it. That's why we're here. Mm. Right, 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 right. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Right, right, right. So the question is the unsolicited advice is given to help, but the question is who is it helping? And then Betsy, I saw you had something to say. I want to add in one other thing. When I was teaching high school, I heard from my students often that they were getting unsolicited advice from adults. And okay, that they were getting unsolicited advice from adults, and I would say, Are you getting spoken to in the manner in which, if we could pause time, substitute another child in your place, the person's advice would be exactly the same? And if the answer is yes, then it's not really helpful. Betsy, you were going to say something. Thank you, Avon. And then Bob, I'll get you. You don't have to keep it up. Right, right, right. Unsolicited advice we keep an eye out for other people. We help other people often. Absolutely, absolutely. So we can't rule out unsolicited advice altogether. This is what makes this an interesting topic. This is going to be great. Bob, you have a thought up there. Absolutely, absolutely. Absolutely. And then Bob, to make it a little more complicated, it depends on how the person heard the advice. Not, or I'm going to share my experience, and if they took that as you telling them what to do, and all of a sudden it's unsolicited advice, whereas you're just trying to share your experience, strength, and hope. This is very. Thank you, Bob. This is great. Ahava. Some. Right, 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 right. Thank you. Yeah, Carol. Why don't you just thank you, Carol. Uh, I'm gonna jump into Emily, who's Jordan. You'll forgive me. I'm jumping Emily in, and yeah, it's not. And yeah, 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 yeah. That's wonderful. Sometimes it's great. Jordan, I lost you off of the screen. There you are. Go. Yeah. Yeah. Jane, Janie and I have a similar of asking. I like your breaking it down into the three different options, but of saying, how can I be of support to you right now? I like what you said a little bit better, as it gives options, whereas the person, especially if they're in distress, might not be able to clearly articulate what it they need. But to just simply ask, how can I help? Because if Jane is wanting to just be heard, that was this line about being fixed situationally rather than being heard compassionately. That they don't want to be situationally. Don't fix my problem. I just need someone to hear me. I need to be heard. I need to be witnessed. I don't want to feel alone. And also, if I'm complaining about a huge issue, and let's just say you know the exact solution to it, boy, am I going to feel like an idiot, right? If hmm And how do you respond to unsolicited advice, Joy, without telling someone to just bugger off? I love that, Joy. Let me ask John, go. Hold for 1 second, John, because I want to before I lose my thought. Hey, everyone, let's play a moment of chess, and let's prepare. Next time someone gives you unsolicited advice, instead of having to think at the moment what it is, what is it that you might say in response? The phrase comes to my mind is, well, I'll consider that. Well, I'll consider that. Okay. But think for yourselves, how are you going to respond when someone gives you unsolicited advice? Go ahead, John. Oh, what might happen if you tried this? That's a way of doing it. Thank Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, yeah. I find I like when people go the way that I thought they should go. Quite fond. I'm quite fond of my solution to their problem. As opposed to that open hand, I get attached to this is what you should be doing. Q, you had your hand up for a moment. Mm. Well, and quite a snotty thing to know what somebody else should be doing in a situation. Boy, must I be brilliant to be able to know better for you what it is you should be doing than you do. I bring this up some because weeks ago in the intro to this service, I wrote about Emmett leaving his dishes next to the sink and not into. And I received many emails telling me how to fix that problem. And my point in bringing up Emmett leaving his dishes next to the sink was not to ask, hey, the problem I have is Emmett not putting his dishes in the sink. That was, yes, that was the problem, but the solution wasn't getting Emmett to put his dishes in the sink. The solution was me figuring out what I was wanting was attunement. What I was wanting was to feel heard. And being told, well, there's an easy solution, you should just blah, 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 was not attuned to where I was. Much like what Jordan was saying, when somebody is asking to be heard and we give them what to do, we're attuned to where it is they are. So later today, I have one last thought, and then one last thought about unsolicited advice. Later today, I will be performing a wedding, and it will be a lovely thing. And I will ask the groom, do you, first name, middle name, last name, take the bride, first name, middle name, last name? And if so, say, I do. And he, I'm pretty certain, will say, I do. I ask the bride similarly the same question. I switch the names around. And she, most assuredly, will say, I do. And it's a beautiful moment. And then I ask all members of the family who are able to stand to please stand. I say, all of you members of the family who are now standing, look at this bride and groom, and I ask you, do you promise to honor and support them as they vowed to live their lives together as husband and wife? And if so, in a voice, let us hear you say, we do. And I have all the family members say, we do. And I ask everyone not yet standing who's able to stand to please stand. And I ask everyone, as one solemn assembly, do you promise to honor and support the bride and groom as they have vowed to live their lives as husband and wife? And if so, in a loud voice, let us hear a tremendous loud we do. And everyone shouts tremendously loud, we do. And then I say, please be seated as I explain to you what you just agreed to. And I say, to honor a husband and wife, to honor two husbands, to honor a couple, is to give them advice when they ask for it. And then I pause. And I say, the implication is that when they don't ask for your advice, don't give it to them. They didn't vow to live their lives according to the way that they think you think they should. They vowed to live their lives the way that they think they should. Okay. Two parts to all of this for us to take with us today. One, let us be mindful when we give advice or commentary on someone else's life, why we are doing it. Are we doing it because we don't want to sit with them in their pain? Are we doing it when we were asked? And two, let us be careful in how we take unsolicited advice and how we react to it. I do believe we have the ability to make some choices and to practice. To each of the emails I got that said, this is how you should parent your child and how you should get Emmett to clear his dishes, I responded with the following words. I thank you kindly for thinking about me and for giving me the time and attention because I know that you care. I didn't say, please don't give me unsolicited advice. They were trying to be helpful. I can be kind in return. Okay. I have some announcements to make. One, I'm so sorry I did not bring my usual sticker that says it's okay not to be okay. I got it grammatically right this week. It's okay not to be okay. Last week, I might have gotten into a little bit of a rail about splitting an infinitive. This week, we're just going to stick with this one. Hey, if you're having a hard time, that's all right. I think it's really important that we all remember that we all have hard times. We all have hard times, and that's just how life is. Other announcements in book news. Book launch party that's scheduled for July 22nd is still scheduled for July 22nd, despite the fact that my literary agent is not able to start helping push my book until September. So I received a very, um, I don't like the news, but she can't do more projects right now. And so she asked me if we can push back until September. So it just means that the order of the book is going to change in what I was doing, and I will be sending out the book to beta readers before it goes to the literary agent. A slight change in plan. My heart is, I mourned it for a little bit. I'm still a little bit sad, but that's just how that goes. Um, James, news about James. Alex, if you could put James's address in the chat. If you would like a pen pal, James is a fantastic pen pal. He's got lots of time to write in between running his classes. He's also trying to raise funds for running the classes in the prisons that he's running. And the funds look like if we can support him with 100 candy bars a month, because that's currency where he and candy bars we order are at $1.49 a candy bar because that there's one supplier that we're allowed to use, and that's what they charge for candy bars. So if you have it in you to help support James and to help him to help other people, to please send money in so we can sponsor him and all the good works that he's doing. 100 candy bars a month. That would be appreciated. I know some of you are regular givers to Religion Outside the Box, and some of you are not. And if you are not, I'd love to encourage you to become a regular donor so that we can continue to doing these good works. Other announcements. The clubhouse, if you go to rotb.org, oh my God, this is exciting. Look at this right there. Religion Outside the Box Clubhouse, rotb.org. You will see on the top of the screen right about in that part of a web browser, you'll see a thing for the clubhouse. You can join the clubhouse starting now. It's not fully functional, but it's up and going, and I want to thank Ann Mayer for tirelessly making tweaks and changes. My God, there are a lot of things involved in making a forum on a web page. You have, I promise you, you have no idea how complicated. It is all so complicated. It looks pretty on the screen, but my gosh, is it a lot of work in there. So thank you, Anne, for always for working on that and helping that to be. Um, and post up in the clubhouse. Make it's your clubhouse. I post there too, but please post and make friends with other people. We have a 12-step group meeting. We have a Shekinah group meeting. There's a Rabbi Brian's office hours. I might be forgetting about a group of hours. What am I forgetting about? Oh, the poet. Oh, and also in the clubhouse, there's a special poetry room. There's a Shekinah room, and if you want to stick around after we're close this up and stop the video, we go into small groups, and there's the deep dive group, the poetry room. There's oh, also on the clubhouse, if you would like, we have reopened Jew Friends of Mine. If you are Jew curious, you can post things there. Um, it is it's an idea. Anyone else have an announcement that they would like to make or something that I forgot? Okay, we're going to conclude then with the following. Hey, hi, you person who's listening and watching right now, what are you taking away from this service? You're leaving this service, and if you had a index card and a Sharpie, and you were going to write down the one moral that you are sure you are going to take with you today, what moral are you taking with you from today's service? What nugget, what wisdom chunk are you taking with you from today? I like this part, Betsy. That's great. You don't have to do it all the time. You don't have to respect people's autonomy most of the time, but sometimes respect all the time. Yeah, yeah. Resist the urge to offer unsolicited advice. I love that. Thank you, Alex. Thank you, Beth. Yours as well. Yeah. Ask, do you want to be heard? Do you want to be helped? Do you want to be hugged? Oh, stop wanting. That's a big one. Any thoughts about the Sabbath part we talked about? Any thoughts other? There was also the thing we talked about making sure to do something to not have regret in the future. Did a piece of that stick with you? I like that too. Folks, I'm going to give a heartfelt thank you. Um, I thank you guys for all showing up to here. Um, please invite people to come to join us to be if you use a Sabbath in a different kind of way of picking in and thinking together as a group. I'd love to invite some more people to be here. I wrote this for the end of the service in ROTB, invite people to join. I made a note to myself to remember to save the chat, which I need to do. Tell a friend. And then I wrote this one, which just says these two words. It says play more. Oh, there was one other thing I liked very, very much. I wrote it down and I can't find it. There. There were three words. Please take these three words with you, with your extra 19 something minutes that you have of Sabbath for today. Stop, look, go. Sharing. Would you please wave to the camera? I'm going to shut the recording off as soon as I get all of your faces on the screen. There we go. I'm going to shut the recording right there. No, that did not stop the recording. Hold on, runaway train. Hold on. There we go.